Welcome to NBA Now by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff, and we have a lot of NBA trade rumors to break down on today's show. Shams Charania broke a massive article with a bunch of trade rumors on Tuesday. Brian Windhorst had more to add to it today, and we have to talk about Jimmy Butler, LeBron James, the Golden State Warriors, and more. But this is why you are subscribed to the channel, and if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so now. We put out content every single day on the sports world, whether it's NBA, NFL, college football, Bill Belichick's a Tar Heel baby. But either way, make sure you are subscribed because we get closer to the NBA trade deadline. We'll have even more NBA trade coverage, so make sure you are subbed. All right, let's talk about Jimmy Butler first. Could he potentially be on the move? Because the headliner in that Shams Charania article on Tuesday was the fact that the Heat are open to listening to Jimmy Butler trade offers. And there's a lot to break down here and a lot of backstory that goes into this Jimmy Butler. We'll start with the backstory. In the offseason, he went to the Heat front office and wanted to get paid. He is due for a 2-year Supermax extension worth $113 million. Jimmy Butler's under contract this year, but has a player option for this upcoming season. Now, he is likely going to opt out of that. The 2-year Supermax extension would replace the player option and really just add one more year onto his deal, which would keep him potentially in Miami through the 26-27 season. It would add $3 million onto his player option next year, going from 52 to 55, and add $58 million guaranteed for that final 26-27 season. The reason why Jimmy Butler wants this contract is because of the new CBA. You can't sign a Supermax extension past the age of 35, and Jimmy Butler is 35 right now, would be 36 by the start of next NBA season. So he wants this 2-year, $113 million contract now from Miami. And according to a lot of reports out there and things that I've heard, is that his preferred destination is to be in Miami. He wants to stay with the Miami Heat. But he ultimately wants that money first. And if the Heat and Pat Riley aren't going to give him that contract, which in the offseason, Pat Riley said he wasn't going to do that, and I doubt they do it in the middle of the season, it may push towards an uncomfortable end to what has been a really good marriage between Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat, where they've been to the NBA Finals twice in the 6 seasons he's been in Miami. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 times. It's the one place Jimmy Butler has consistently called home ever since he left the Chicago Bulls, and the Heat fans love Jimmy. But the question is, if you are a Heat fan, if you are a part of that Heat front office, are you willing to give Jimmy that 2-year Supermax extension? You should, just based off pure nostalgia of what he's done over the last 6 seasons and everything he's given you. But if you are a realistic outlook and you look at this through a basketball lens, is it the smartest thing to give him that contract with him not being able to take on that number one workload and give you that consistent effort in the regular season that's required? And you see superstars like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic give on a daily basis. Jimmy just simply can't do that anymore. And that's why the Heat, who have been stuck in the middle of the East over the past couple of seasons, might ultimately elect to not do that, trade Jimmy Butler at the deadline, and kind of reset with Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero and whatever potential package they get in return. And the 3 teams that are interested in Jimmy Butler are allegedly the Dallas Mavericks, the Houston Rockets, and the Golden State Warriors. Now, I don't think the Mavericks are really viable. The trade really doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of what they could offer Miami, and they don't really have a lot of contracts they can offer, but it does make the most sense basketball-wise. The Rockets make the most sense if you're a Heat fan because they can give you the best package with 10 first-round picks. 9 of them are tradable, plus that young core that they have. But Golden State might be the most desperate and might make the most sense in terms of likelihood of happening due to the need that they need to, but also they can offer Miami a pretty fair price point as well. And that's where we kind of move into on today's show is that the Warriors trade rumors are hot. Brian Windhorst went on Get Up this morning and dropped the nugget that the top 2 trade targets for the Golden State Warriors, are the Los Angeles Lakers forward LeBron James and then the Miami Heat forward Jimmy Butler. And I do think the Warriors would probably prioritize a LeBron James trade over a Jimmy Butler trade because LeBron and Steph would love to play together. You also have Draymond Green there. Those 3 are good friends, so it would make a lot of sense on court in terms of chemistry-wise. But I would like to take it back to the Jimmy Butler talk because I think that's the most sensible. I think he would be a really good star next to Steph Curry. He would be able to be that guy to shoulder off some clutch moments from Steph. And Steph can obviously do it, but Butler being able to be the two-way player he is, not really have to take a lot into the regular season with Curry kind of shouldering the load, but then in the postseason, Jimmy can do his thing as he's done in Miami over the past 6 seasons. So to me, that makes a lot of sense. They could offer a package of Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, Kevon Looney, a couple first-round picks, Gary Payton, a salary filler as well, to potentially get one cheap contract in Jovic or Josh Richardson, plus Jimmy Butler to replenish some pieces on the bench and get that wing that would help Steph Curry. You'd also get to keep Brandon Podziemski, Buddy Hield, D'Anthony Melton is out for the year, but you also have Kyle Anderson. So it would be interesting to see what happens here. And as we get closer and closer to the trade deadline, like we said, we'll have more surrounding the NBA and more breakdowns of what is going on. But I find it fascinating that the Warriors are likely going to go big game hunting in terms of trying to acquire either LeBron James or Jimmy Butler at the NBA trade deadline. And we'll have more trade rumors to discuss in just a second. But I do got to show some love to our sponsor on today's show, and that is PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the #1 daily fantasy sports platform out there, and they have so many great deals now around the holiday season. You can make your holidays bigger and brighter with PrizePicks, the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. And during this month of December and the holiday season, you can win up to 200 times your money on PrizePicks. Join now because this holiday season, PrizePicks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmas. How about that, folks? Think Steph Curry will get more than 5 3-pointers? Think Giannis will have more than 35 points? Cook up your hot takes with your friends and win real money this basketball season when you and your friends run your game on PrizePicks. And my game is a 2-player entry for tonight's action. I got more than on Steph Curry, 25 points against the Rockets. I got less than on Mikal Bridges, 24.5 points, rebounds, assists against the Hawks. 2-player entry here, just a simple 2-player entry to win 3 times your money. But like I mentioned, you can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks during this month. So get started today. Download the app and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. One more time, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to get that $50. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. As we transition back into some trade rumors around the NBA, we're going to go into the New Orleans Pelicans because we have talked a lot about the Pelicans, potentially trading Zion Williamson, potentially trading Brandon Ingram. Well, allegedly, they are receiving interest on C.J. McCollum and Herb Jones, 2 more key pieces on that Pelicans roster that is currently last in the Western Conference. They have been quite the disappointment this season, probably the biggest disappointment in the NBA. The only team that would be rivaling them for that kind of title is the Philadelphia 76ers. But let's talk about them trading potentially McCollum and Herb Jones. I don't think this would be a smart decision. C.J. McCollum, maybe you could talk me into. But if you are the Pelicans, what is your long-term future here? Are you going to give money to Brandon Ingram? Are you going to continue to build behind Zion Williamson? Like, I get it, C.J. McCollum is probably not someone you build around and is probably your 4th guy on this team behind Zion, B.I., and DeJounte Murray, who you trade for in the offseason. But, like, what are we doing here? You got to have good players to surround your big 3, if you will. And if you're holding on to those 3, why are we trading away potentially high players? And this is not saying that the Pelicans are going to do that. It's just that they're receiving a lot of interest. The 76ers have reportedly been interested in Herb Jones. Dallas Mavericks have potentially been interested in Herb Jones. And I think Herb Jones would be one heck of a player to be added. This is someone I really enjoy watching. One of the best connecting pieces in the entire NBA. One of the best wing defenders in the association. Could guard 1 through 4 without question. He's lengthy. He's agile. He's improving his 3-point shot. Herb Jones is someone I have personally had a crush on for a very long time. He, to me, fits on any basketball team in the NBA. Whether it's a team that needs defense, whether it's a team that needs offense, he can provide you with anything you need and is kind of one of those guys that is considered a glue guy, can fit on any NBA roster. So if you are trying to trade for Herb Jones, I would want it on the record that it's probably going to cost you a pretty penny. You saw the Wizards last year want 2 first-round picks for Kyle Kuzma. Dorian Finney-Smith allegedly was costing teams 2 first-round picks last year at the deadline. I think it would cost 2 first-round picks to get Herb Jones. That's how much I believe in him. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe NBA executives think lower on Herb Jones than I do. But I just really like what he can bring to the table on the defensive side and being a nice little role player offensively, give you 10 points plus a night, be able to knock down some catch-and-shoot threes. I would trade 2 first-round picks for him if I felt like I was a defensive piece away from competing for an NBA title. He's a perfect 4th, 5th guy on a championship contending team. We'll round out today's show with some Portland Trailblazers talk, because could they be shedding players before the February 6th NBA trade deadline? Shams Charania reported that Jerami Grant, Anfernee Simons, and Robert Williams III have garnered a lot of interest and potentially are trade candidates for Portland. This should come as no surprise. As soon as Portland gave out Jerami Grant that massive contract, everybody knew he was eventually going to be traded. He simply is not someone worth building around. He is one of those guys that has always been in trade rumors, and teams are always like, yeah, if we trade for Jerami Grant, he could be that missing 4th guy on our team to help us win a title. But when you have him as a top 2-3 guy, you're like, well, this guy's not really worth paying this much and keeping around. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Anfernee Simons is an intriguing name, 20-point-per-game scorer, as the Portland Blazers look to build around Scoot Henderson potentially, Shaedon Sharpe. Simons maybe is the odd man out in that crowded backcourt. Robert Williams III, athletic big man who once looked like the centerpiece of that front court in Boston, has not been able to stay healthy for his career. There's a report out there and rumors that the Lakers could be interested in Robert Williams as they look to fortify their front court behind Anthony Davis, and they look like a team that really needs a defensive anchor like Robert Williams. So to me, it wouldn't shock me at all if all 3 of these players are gone when we're past the trade deadline in February from the Blazers roster. The question is, who is going to trade for them? The Lakers will be in contact. Can't really think of a Simons suitor. Maybe the Magic, who have been dealing with injuries. They need some guard scoring potentially off the bench. Maybe Simons makes sense. All right, that's going to do it for today's NBA Now video. Appreciate you sticking around and watching with us. And if you have gotten to this point in the video, you obviously like what we're doing a little bit here, so make sure you are subscribed. Like I said, we're going to have the best NBA coverage when it comes to the trade deadline when we get to that point in a month and a half. So make sure you're subscribed. I'm Nic Rohloff, and I'll see you next week with more NBA news and rumors.